that I struggle too and that that's normal. That
Mm-hmm.
was the biggest thing for me last year was, oh, you feel like you want to quit every single week too? I thought I was the only one that felt that way. So I'm like, oh, okay, so that's normal. And I think majority of my life, what has made me feel, I guess, validated in every situation is knowing like, oh, I'm not like an alien. Everyone else feels like this too. I'm like, they're not different. Because growing up, unfortunately, when I had struggled with a lot of like mental health, anxiety and stuff like that, my mom didn't know how to handle that or to support me. And so she, not to her fault, made me feel like something was wrong with me. And I hadn't talked to anyone else that had experienced that. So I thought truly something was wrong with me. But then as I went further down the path and met other people, started seeking help and stuff, I said, oh, I'm not the only one that has this. It's actually pretty normal. Okay, cool. So then it made me feel accepted.
Say that again.
I have so much energy today.
That's not how you sound when you first said it. Say it again.
I have so much energy today. I feel so good.
Ain't nothing better than feeling good.
Yes.
What was in your coffee this morning, or your tea, or your drink that got you so much energy?
It's not that. It's just rest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Started taking a thyroid medication yesterday and yeah, just connecting with God and journaling how much I'm grateful for and just reflecting on everything that I have in my life right now that I've been praying for. So
Wow.
it's amazing. Yeah. Feels really good.
Good morning to you, lady.
Good morning to you.
Oh man, I'm looking outside. I woke up and I look outside. I was like, man, I'm ready to go for a walk. It's so nice out there right now.
Mm,
It's so nice out there right now. It's a lot to
did
be
you get to
grateful
go?
for. Not yet. So after this, I'm gonna go for a walk, and then I already prepared for Toastmaster already. So I'm going to go for a walk, get some of this good sunshine in. Do you like to be in sunny places? Let me ask you that. I never.
Yes.
Mm,
I struggle not being in sunny places. Like if it's too gloomy for too long, it really affects my mood. I have to be in places where there's sun. So I've always lived places where it's been sunny. Are you
ah,
the same way?
I'm a solar man. I like to be in the heat. It's interesting because when in the military, and because in the military we always gotta wear that uniform, right? Sometimes some people say I'm hot in it. I'm never hot
You're never hot?
because yeah, because I don't get hot that easy. I get cold very easy. It's like as soon as the
Mm.
temperature drop, I get cold. So I like to be in the heat because it just feels better for me.
I
Mm.
used to be that way. I'm the opposite now. I used to be able to be outside in like 100, 105 degree weather and like barely sweat. Now, if I'm in like 80 plus degree weather, I'm like, okay, I like am sweating. So now
Uh,
I'm the opposite. Like the sun, but prefer more cool weather. I
uh.
definitely had a challenge when I was in Europe, in Rome and Positano specifically, because it was scorching hot.
Uh, so what made you? Where are you exactly right now? Where are you exactly?
I'm I'm in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, so I'm about 3 hours west of Denver.
Steamboat Spring. I don't think I've
Mhm.
been there. Maybe I've been there. Steamboat
It's a
Spring.
ski town. I don't
Mm,
ski, but it's a ski town. It's like 13,000 people, very small, um, but beautiful. So beautiful.
mm. What made you move there?
My ex.
Oh, he's from there.
Yeah. No,
Oh.
he's not from here. We we were doing long distance when I was living in Florida and he was living in Vegas at the time, and then I moved from Florida in with him in Vegas, which is where I grew up ironically. And then
Mm-hmm.
he actually had cuz he's from Illinois and he grew up across the street from this family that would like babysit him and whatnot, and they moved to Steamboat and he kept in contact with them. They had a ranch out here and they had multiple years in a row had offered him to come ranch sit and like be able to be 25 minutes from the ski resort, and he loves to snowboard, and he never took
Mm-hmm.
him up on the offer. And finally he's like, I think I'm gonna go this winter, like go watch their ranch, because they needed their driveway plowed and like the goats fed and the chickens fed and like all that. And I was like, all right, well, I've never been there, I'm down to like go. I work remote, let's do it. So we came out here in January of last year, ranch sat and lived at his place until April. And during that time frame we were planning on like leaving Vegas and finding somewhere to plant roots to like start a family. So we were looking at different places like Salt Lake City or Park City in Utah, and we were basically just gonna leave from Steamboat and go hop around different areas in Utah and just like rent an Airbnb for like a month in each area. And as I was here, it just has an energy of somewhere I've never lived before. It's very
Mm-hmm.
small town community vibes, very wholesome, family oriented, no like, I don't know, just peaceful. And I was like, I kind of like it here. I didn't think that I would actually say that because I've always lived in a city and I've always hated the cold, and it gets cold here. But honestly, the energy, it just, I don't know, I just felt like I needed to be here. And then I found an amazing church, and that's like where I, decided to go all in on my faith, and I got baptized in the church here. And yeah, I just was like, I love it here. So yeah.
Mm. Steamboat.
Yeah.
Steamboat Spring. I'm a big fan of Colorado. And one of the
Mm.
reasons why I love Colorado because it's very mountainous. Because I grew up in Jamaica, and I grew up in the mountains of Jamaica. So the parish I grew up in Jamaica is the most mountainous parish in Jamaica. It's really got like Blue Mountains, that mountain called Blue Mountain, if you're familiar with Jamaica. But I just love being up high.
Mm.
I love being up high, and I love just the view of things. So when I was in Colorado, I was like, man, this is so amazing. And I like about Colorado too. It's like it's not some places you go, it's green, it's like lush and it's thick, but Colorado is open. You can see, and I just love being able to see ahead of things. Like I'm looking for it, like I can see it. So I love Colorado,
Absolutely.
and
What
it's
brought
got
you
blue sky
from?
all there. Hmm.
Oh, yes. It's like over 300 days of sunshine, even though it does snow a lot. We still get tons of sun, so that's a plus. I'm definitely a
Hmm.
mountain girl. I moved to the beach. I've lived in Florida for 14 years of my life, and being back in the mountains made me realize I'm definitely more of a mountain girl. I'm the same. Like I like to be up high. I like to hike and just yeah. There's so much to do in Colorado as far as outdoor activities. In Florida, it's like you can only go to so many beaches and like trail walk, and
Mm.
you can't swim in any of the water except for the beach because there's alligators. So in Colorado it's totally different. But
Mm.
what brought you from Jamaica to Connecticut?
Ooh, like the question. History here, 1998. It was nine of us at the time on the plane. So I have two older sisters and an older brother. So when we left Jamaica, they was over 21, so they couldn't come with us. Like my parents, they couldn't. So my parents brought everyone that was under 21 with them, and my older brother, my older sister, they couldn't come, so they stayed in Jamaica. So all of us came to the United States in 1998. Got to Connecticut. Got to see where my grandparents stay at, and they've been there for a couple of years. I think they left Jamaica in the 80s, so they've been in America for a little while, and then we came here in 1998, and we kind of settled here. So most of the family is in this community. A lot of my cousins are here. There's a lot of people in Connecticut from Jamaica. Like Connecticut is like a big, like Hartford is a big place for Jamaicans. A lot of Jamaicans here in Hartford, a lot.
Oh,
So I think New York or maybe Florida got us beat. I gotta check, but Connecticut has a lot of Jamaicans.
I know Florida has a lot of Jamaicans, but why Connecticut? What is there specifically? Is it just like one Jamaican family decided to go and then everyone followed, or is there like something like that draws Jamaicans to Connecticut?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to go look that up. But I know New York is the has the most Jamaicans. So because
Hmm.
New York is right next door, I'm assuming that's why people trickle over into Connecticut. That's my thinking. Plus, most Jamaica when they left Jamaica early back in the day was mostly for farm work and stuff. So different place that does farm work. I know upstate New York has a lot of farm work,
Hmm.
and places in Connecticut too. And then you got Canada, so forth and so on. But I'm thinking of that. But I know definitely New York. It's like everybody probably trickle up from New York because I think New Jersey got a lot of Jamaican too. So yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I had
But
no idea.
Jamaicans are everywhere though.
Yeah, they are for sure. I've never been to the Northeast at all. I'll have to come up there and check it out at
Mm,
some point.
not the Northeast. Okay.
Yeah,
Mm,
never
yeah.
been.
Mm, okay. And you see, you're the only child.
I have a brother who just turned 13. So I was an only child for 23 years, and then my mom and my stepdad had my brother.
Ooh. Mm.
I'm
How did
the complete opposite of a stereotypical like only child.
what made you different?
um what made me different? The best answer I can say is just how I grew up, like my mom being a single mom and us just really struggling and her grinding her ass off and really just like I wasn't the person who I feel like stereotypical uh only children, they get spoiled, they get babied, they get kind of like whatever they want. They're kind of like bratty. Not all of them,
Mm,
but like a lot of them, they're kind of more like entitled. And I never had that um, situation because I had no choice or had no option to, I don't know what would be the right saying, but basically like I had to just work for everything that I have because, my mom, she did raise me young.
mm,
She got pregnant with me at 15. I was born in California, and then my mom, and my dad picked up everything, and we moved to Florida when I was only 2 months old. So she was like thousands of miles away from her mom, still a kid raising a child. And so she had to, do what she had to do to make ends meet. And I think seeing that made me different because
mm,
it made me realize that, okay, you have to work for what you want. Basically, it's not just going to be handed to you. It can be hard. So yeah, I think that that's how maybe I'm different than the stereotypical like only child that gets like babied, because I definitely didn't get babied.
mm,
My mom spit some hard realities, some hard truth of like, yeah,
mm.
just basically shaping me into the strong willed personality and person that I am today.
I think I'm gonna tie your mom's situation to mine because my mom, I think she got pregnant at 16, 15, 16 around that time. Interesting. And she had my brother, his first one. Then she met my dad after. Then she had 8 kids with my dad.
Wow.
But but here's a part that I respect about my mom's journey. Now imagine being a modern day woman at the age of 34, already had 9 kids.
That's wild. Wild.
At 34, I already had 9.
That's
That's my
insane.
that's my mom, and I was like, power to you, lady.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about it, like back in the day, like that's what people did. They had kids young, they got married young, they popped,
Mm-hmm.
multiple out, and it was more of the norm, and it's crazy to think that that was how it was. But I also think that things were definitely different back then. People were out working on their, for their family, whether it was in factories or in farms or whatever, at a very young age, so they were matured and they almost like good and bad, like didn't have really like a childhood per se. And now I feel like people have an extended childhood where they become Peter Pans and whatever the woman version is of a Peter Pan, where you just like you're still a child when you're in your mid 20s. So I think the dynamics back then were different. Maybe people were more equipped back then to actually have kids young because they were more mature, more, adults per se, versus nowadays I feel like kids, and I call them kids, but people in their 20s, and myself included in that, even though I was mature and an adult, there's no
Mm-hmm.
way. Like, there's no way. If I had a child, obviously, it would be different and my life would be different. But I just think, like, okay, my mom had me at 16. Right now, if I were her, I would have a 20-year-old. That's like crazy. That's insane. I'm like, what?
But you mentioned something about childhood. Let's talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is childhood? Like, what is supposed to be childhood? Like, meaning that we are comparing like our childhood, younger version of our childhood, their childhood going back, but that childhood for a person right now, like, what is that supposed to look like?
I
You
don't
know?
think there's any particular right or wrong way that it's supposed to look, or there's any
Mm,
rules. I do think that being a child, you should have your innocence. You should be able to enjoy
mm,
life as a child. You shouldn't necessarily have to take on responsibilities of an adult, and be able to play and be carefree and not necessarily have too many responsibilities. I do think it's important to give children, at a certain age, chores and teach them, specific skills that will help them in their life, but also teaching them lessons about like, hey, you have to work to earn this. And, having money is a privilege and having everything that we have is a privilege, and just teaching more of those things so that, they can enjoy their childhood, but then it gets to a certain place where it's like, okay, you want to buy this specific toy or you want to go this specific place. Okay, well, I'm not just going to give that to you. Let's put, something on your list where you can earn that, whether that's washing the car, doing yard work, cleaning the pool, stuff like that, to teach them responsibility at a young age, but then still allowing them to enjoy their childhood and be childlike in their freedom and not, I think that back in, say, like my grandma, she was born in 1950, which is still young for even before that, I would say, you know, at like 4 or 5 years old, like kids are taking care of their siblings, they're cooking meals, they're working around the house, they're helping their parents because the parents had multiple kids really young. And, so the siblings start taking on that role of mom and dad. And while I think it's nice and can be helpful to have like an older brother, older sister be like the person that their younger sibling looks up to, I don't think that they should have to be the mom and the dad though. And I think back then, like for my mom, for instance, my mom had two brothers and my grandma worked three jobs. My mom basically raised her two brothers. She made sure that they were fed. She made sure that they were all good to go and like were taken care of because my grandma wasn't able to be there because she was working. So I think that childhood should be free of responsibility to a certain degree, and that the child should be able to enjoy what it's like to not have responsibility because they only have so many years to where they won't have that anymore, and then their whole life will be of responsibility.
Hmm. That's one take. I'm trying to spin my perspective on here too.
Yeah, what's yours?
First question is, how do we give lessons to kids? And I think about how do we give lessons, because a childhood is supposed to be a a a process of lesson giving, because you're teaching them something. You're the parents. You're parenting them. So then, how do you give lessons? Because I know some of the things that I missed as a child doing more of is like a lot of time more time to play. But then when I play too much, I get also bored of playing. Like, all right, I'm playing too much. What else can I do? So then when my dad used to put me to work, because my dad put me to work, like talking about that man put me to work. And sometimes I didn't like it, but later on in life, it was useful to have that to measure against. So it got me thinking about like how do you give lesson to a kid? Through the process of showing them what adults do and give them a piece of that, or just having them run free? Like how do you give lessons? So how will you give lesson to a kid during that childhood years?
Yeah, I think the specific context would matter. So I would say if a child makes a mistake, that's when you have like a conversation of, hey, these are the consequences to this mistake that you made. If it's something like you want to initiate the lesson, I would say not like tests per se, but an example of like, I guess, having a responsibility or getting out of the play mindset and starting to really have your kid understand the importance of like, okay, this is a little taste of what life is my
Mm-hmm.
mom would say, okay, you go out to play, but you have to check in every half hour. And if you don't check in every half hour and I hear my mom's whistle, I know my ass was in trouble. So it's like I gotta watch. I get to play and be a child and have fun, but I still had to go check in and make sure, hey mom, I'm good. Once I check in, I can go back out and play. So I think it really depends on the context. Like if a child's doing something and you need to teach them a lesson because they've already made a mistake, and you need to either reprimand or have a conversation to help them understand, hey, there's consequences to this. And I had a lot of those. Or, hey, here is a test or um, a I don't know what you would call it, almost like an opportunity for you to show me that I can trust you. So I'm going to let you go walk to the store on your own and walk back, but you have to be back at this time. Or I'm going to let you go to the movies with your friends. Just different scenarios of like letting the child know that, hey, this is your opportunity for me to gain trust in you based on these parameters that I'm putting in place. And if those parameters or boundaries are not met, then we have a conversation and there's consequences. And I think it teaches a child a lesson of like, hey, there are parameters of how things need to be done and be respected. And if those aren't, then these are the consequences of what's going to happen. You get your, I didn't have a phone back then, but nowadays you get your phone taken away, you get your Game Boy or whatever it is taken away. You can't go play with your friends outside on the weekend or whatever it is, to say, okay, well, now the lesson is learned, right? We're not going to do that again. So now we know forward, hey, if we need to check in on this time and you're not, there are, you're going to have repercussions essentially.
Mm. I like how you go with that, by the way, because I think that word consequence is there's a period of this kid's life where consequence becomes the major lesson. I
Mm-hmm.
think probably like maybe after you get to like 8, 9, 10, I think that's when you start really locking in consequence. Because as a kid, when you're younger, like maybe say from 1 through 7 or so forth, you get a lot of time to go play and be free, right? Because here's another thing I thought about too. I think the best person to raise your kid between 1 and 7 is grandparents.
Mm.
And the reason why I say grandparents because during that age, kids don't care what you think at that age. They really don't. And you know the other people that don't care what you think at a certain age? Grandparents. Like after a certain age, they don't give a damn what you think. So I'm thinking
That's so true.
you pair those two up, and they're like, wow, two people that don't give a damn what other people think, they get to be free and they get to enjoy it. Because I think
That's so true.
I was going back. I'm gonna share this because I think I was preparing this for part of my talk later on. But I don't have baby pictures of myself. The youngest picture of myself is I think when I graduate 6th grade. That's the youngest picture of myself.
Really?
hmm I don't have baby pictures. And I was thinking back to the image I can see of myself. What was it? What was my age? I remember I gotta be around 7, 8, maybe, or 6, 7, 8, somewhere around there. But a picture that I have in my head is me and my great grandmother, right? Me and her sitting down, and she was reading the Bible to me. I remember that we used to go there and stuff. That's the youngest image I can see of myself in my head. And I was thinking about like who was my first love, and I thought it was my mom. But when I dig deeper, I realized it was my great grandmother because my mom was constantly busy. She was always working. My great grandmother was the one I remember hugging me, sweet words to me, like telling me she loves me and praying for me and reading with me and teaching me how to read. I'm telling you this. My mom never told me she loved me until I was like in America, grown man. I never heard those words from my mom or my dad, because we don't use those words. So we use action. Like in Jamaica, your parents do the stuff for you and they take care of you and they provide for you, and that's the love. But using like I think it's an American thing, probably. I don't know, but I never used those words. Like even growing up, I didn't use those words a lot because I didn't hear them growing up. I feel it growing up, but I never hear it. So I was thinking about the person that really gave me that was my great grandmother, and I could feel. I remember how she made me feel as a kid growing up, and I think when I discovered she was my first love.
Yeah, I was very close with my grandma growing up, and when we moved away from her to Florida, it was really sad for my
Mm.
mom. And then as I was, you know, growing up in like three, four, five, like every time my grandma came, I was so excited because, you get to spend all that time with her.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, me and my grandma have a really, really close relationship. But I love that what you said. You don't give a damn 0 to 7, and neither do grandparents. So put them together and make magic. I love that. Why
Yeah.
don't you have any pictures of you from less than sixth grade? Is it just that you guys they weren't taken or they got like
They
destroyed?
weren't taken, and because back then in Jamaica they didn't have all the access to cameras and stuff. So I would say they weren't taken. And if we did have them, probably got lost. But yeah, I don't have any. I think my younger brothers and younger sisters have pictures, but the older ones, I'm like we don't have any much pictures of us when we was young. So I don't have no idea what I look like as a baby.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. My mom is, oh my gosh, you can't get a camera or anything away from that woman. Like she takes so many pictures where we always like have a fight over this because I am all about taking pictures. Like I want to have memories obviously, but I also want to be in the moment. I don't need to document everything. My mom, not exaggerating. So say like my brother has a soccer game, right? And he has, let's just say, I don't know, 25 soccer games in a season. She'll take like 50 to 75 pictures at the soccer game for one game. And I'm like, okay, mom, like we don't have to take 75 pictures at every single event that we do. Like taking one here and there, okay, fine. But she is constantly taking pictures and I admire her because she wants to have the memories. I get that. But I also have to tell her like, mom, let's just soak this in and like, you know, be present in just the moment. Because there have been times where she's like, "Oh, let me get a picture of that." When it's like me and my brother are cuddling on the couch and it's like we're in the moment and then she's like, "Oh, let me get a picture." And then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, you're not in the moment anymore." You know, like it's ruined now. And I understand, you know, her wanting to get that, but it's like sometimes either just sneak it or just take a picture of it in your mind because it takes away from the moment in the present moment, you know. And so she'll joke with me and she's like, I know you don't want to take any pictures, or she'll be like, can I take a picture? I'm like, mom, I don't mind you taking a picture here and there. I'm just not like trying to have you take a picture of every single move that we make throughout the entire day at every event we go to. There's a difference. So we definitely get in arguments over that, but my mom has so many pictures of more my brother than me now because obviously it's different with phones, but yeah, she's got a lot.
What's the youngest picture you have of you?
Oh, I mean, baby pictures. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, I have a picture. I don't know how many months old I was, but I have this like iconic picture of my mom loves clowns and she had this like clown statue. It's like blue with like really pretty like it's like a costume type thing. And I'm like sitting next to it and I'm like looking at it. It's really cute. And then there's like a couple other baby pictures that I have, but um I don't know how old I was. I'd have to ask her, but young.
Mm.
And
How
we
often
also
do
have
you
home videos.
home videos? Wow.
Home videos of like me learning to walk, and stuff like yeah, like when they had the camcorder back in the day. I don't even know where those are. My mom must have them, but yeah, we had home videos too.
Okay, so here's something that I would love. I would love to see myself as a kid in motion. I would love to see myself looking at myself as a kid. Just to see like what would that do for me internally as a feeling. I don't know. I would love to because I feel like that I have my memory is shot when it comes to my history in a certain way. Because for some reason, the military. I discovered this when I came back home. My family used to have like going on memory lane a lot, and like actually you don't remember that? You don't remember that? I'm like I don't. I'm trying to figure out what happened to my memories. And I talked to a lot of my veterans friends, the same thing. They was like, I don't remember nothing. So I'm thinking, what happened to us in the military? Why a lot of our memories disappear? I don't know. I have some, what's the word looking for? Conspiracy around it. But
I could
it's
definitely talk about that. That is my expertise and wheelhouse. I could talk for ages about that. But yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we can talk about it today. But it's always something that it pushed me now to like I'm gonna mine my memories for more meaning because some of the stuff that I don't remember, I would love to know what happened to. Where did my brain put it? My brain parked it somewhere, but why did it park it somewhere, and why did it suppress some of that information? And yeah, I want to know what was Asher like at a certain point. But I would love to know the baby Asher. Like I would love to see pictures and images and motion, whatever, just to see the guy.
Well, have you ever, is your mom still alive?
Hmm.
Have you asked her what was I like as a baby? Like tell me stories about like things that I did, and have you ever asked her?
I did. She gave me some stuff. She gave me some stuff. But I might have to get dig into that somewhere. That
Yeah.
around that age, to see if I might ask my dad to like what was that if they remember because if they remember that's the question if they remember.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd. I mean, as long as they're haven't lost, their mental, if they're not at the age where the mind does actually start to go. I mean, I feel like as parents, those memories are like some of the most vivid, if I were to assume, as like having a kid in the beginning years like that. I don't know, my mom can tell me so many stories, but my mom also has a funky memory too. So some of the stuff we remember differently. But going back to you saying, I wish I could just go back and see what I was like. I have this vision often where I close my eyes and I'm like, I wish that I could just like, it's like I'm in this library and
Mm-hmm.
I could just go to any age and any date of time and pull it out and put it on a screen and just watch myself. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
would love if there was something invented before I pass away that they could put something in my brain, which that could be scary also, but put something in my brain and bring up like that specific date and be able to see myself in that time, because I'm curious too, as far as like not remembering certain memories. Being in the military, that makes sense because you are trained to kill. You're trained to get the job done. You can't be thinking about, how you got a teddy bear when you were 3 years old and like, you had a great birthday, because you have to dissociate that and put that away because you have a job to do. So that's one reason why you probably don't remember your memories. And then also there is a component of, as children, if there are memories, because I know that there's a lot of my childhood I don't remember, and my mom's brother doesn't remember anything until he was age 8. And from the studies that I've done in just psychology and how the brain works, is as a child, when you experience memories, whether they're actually traumatic or not, how you perceive them is what matters. And if you perceive a memory as traumatic, you will basically dissociate it and basically forget about it as a protection mechanism for yourself so that you don't hurt and you can like protect yourself essentially. So a lot of moments in my life I have blocked out, and then as I started doing deeper subconscious reprogramming work with coaches and therapists, all of a sudden, as I went deep into a meditation or a hypnosis, those memories came up and I was like, wow, I totally forgot about this. And it wasn't like I completely forgot, because when it came up, I remembered, but I hadn't thought about it in 25 plus years because I had locked it away, because at that point in my life, when it was happening, it was too painful for me to remember. So that's like the
Mm.
science behind that.
I guess I probably would need. I'm thinking when you store something in your brain, there's something that's gonna trigger it. Whatever that is, I don't know what it is. I might have to find out what that trigger is to like, poop, turn it back on, flip the switch on for it. But it'd be interesting. And I would say my childhood was hard, like really hard, rough, really rough. But it was also fun. Like I had one of
Totally.
the funnest childhood. Like people like, oh yeah, I went to a lot of stuff because I had a lot of responsibility. My dad gave me a lot of responsibility early, a lot, like more than a kid should have. But it taught me a lot about discipline, self confidence, self esteem. I mean, it taught me a lot of those things. So like I remember when I first came to the United States and I joined the military, and I had super confidence. Right? First, I was very fit, and then I had super confidence. People like overconfident guy, and I was very proud of my culture, my heritage. So it's like I was confrontational in another ways too. But because how I grew up. So the only thing I tell you this, the only thing that I wasn't confident in was the education system. So intellectually, I wasn't that confident in certain areas because I just didn't like school that much. Like I went to school just to go to school, but I didn't like school that much. But practically, I was great at practical things. So when in the military, like when we doing stuff, because I went in the military, I did finance in the military. I was like, why did I pick an office job? But here's why I picked an office job. I picked an office job because I spent my entire life outdoors. And I was like, I don't want to go join the military and do another outdoor stuff. I want to do something indoors, right? Because I'm like, I'm going to be in this place, it's cold. I don't want to be outdoors in this cold ass country. So I'm like, let me go inside. But I tell you what, Tiana, every time we do like field exercises and stuff, I loved it. I was like, I'm alive out here. I was like, why didn't I pick an outside job? But I understand why. But I grew up really, really rough. Really, really rough. So it's possible that some trauma is up in there, hidden away. Because, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and as an adult, I don't know how old you are, but as an adult, you're not, obviously not in a kid brain anymore. You can look back and say, yeah, I had hard moments. Yeah, I had more responsibility put on me as a child than I should have, but I also had a ton of fun. But that's your adult brain. As a child, we don't know the difference between, like, we don't know what that means. We're very emotional beings from age 0 to 7, and everything that happens in our life from 0 to 7 is what is the basically forms our entire life, and our decisions and our habits and our mindset and the way that we believe is formed from age 0 to 7. So the example that I always give, and I used to give to clients of mine, is if you're dancing in front of a TV in front of your parents to show them like your cool dance moves, and maybe they're not paying attention to you, but the TV's behind you and they're laughing at something on the TV, but you think they're laughing at you, you're going to perceive that as they're laughing at my dance moves. You're going to be embarrassed even though it's not about you. As a kid from those age frames, we take everything personal whether it's about us or not. Like for example, my parents breaking up, I always thought it was my fault. Obviously, a lot of kids think that it's not your fault. It never ever is the children's fault. But we internalize that. And then as we grow up, we have relationship issues. We don't want to get on the stage anymore and dance because, and we don't know why. And it's like, well, yeah, it makes sense because if you go back, but again, those memories are completely erased in the moment and you think they're, oh, it's silly. Okay, obviously my parents were laughing at the TV, not me. Well, that's your adult brain like
Mm.
computing that. But your child brain didn't think that way. Your child brain took that personal and it really hurt them and stored that I'm not good enough. People laugh at me when I dance. So now when you go to dance as a 25, 35, 40-year old and you don't have the confidence or you just don't want to do it, and you're like, why is this such a hard thing for me? When I figured that out, when I started sitting with like coaches and we were diving into like those deeper seated beliefs and the root of where they come from, it was so fascinating because it's like as kids we don't conceptualize things as we do as adults. We take everything personal. And so I would talk to clients and I'm like, what happened in your childhood? They're like, oh, my childhood was great. I had no trauma. I'm like,
Mm.
when you say that, you had the most because
Mm.
you're so dissociated away from it. You have no idea that trauma doesn't need to mean you were sexually assaulted or physically assaulted or you were completely neglected without food and water. That's not what trauma means. That is trauma, but it also can mean a simple thing as you thought that your parents were laughing at you when you're dancing and they weren't, but you felt that. That could be trauma for a child. So, yeah, it's
Mm.
just very interesting like how those things that happen from that 0 to 7 really shape like everything that we do in our adult life and for the rest of our lives until we rewrite it, which is like kind of what you were saying. I wish I could see myself as a kid and like see what he was doing. And I do exercises with myself where I'll go back in my mind and picture my younger self and I will have a conversation with them. I will
Mm.
like replay the movie and have it have an alternate ending and the ending that I would have preferred. And when that happens, it's like now those fears that were stopping me from going forward to my dreams or the insecurities that I had, it's like they're resolved because I got to rewrite the ending in my own mind.
Mm. You know, I think you mentioned to me about let's talk let's flip situation. Let's we're going to another room now, if you don't mind.
Not at
You
all.
you mentioned violin. What
Hmm.
age were you when you was playing violin?
I was in sixth grade, so that would have been 11.
Mm. What made violin interesting to you?
So it was an accident. Um, for sixth grade, I had to pick an elective, and I picked explorations, which meant I had a different class every quarter. And I don't know why they even allowed orchestra to be only one quarter because it's like a year thing. So I took orchestra as one quarter, and I fell in love with it. And then when I went to the next elective, I said, I want to go back to orchestra. So the next year, I went from just having violin for one quarter and a beginning orchestra, I went straight to intermediate. And then when I went to intermediate, I was like, oh, whoa, they're like using the bow. Like I was just learning how to pluck the strings like crap. So I had to basically like play catch up. So I was practicing all the time to like get better and to like be able to be on the level of the intermediate kids. And then I just loved it so much, loved music so much, loved the progression, loved the connection, loved the community. And then I played violin all the way through middle school and high school.
Mm. For some reason, I think it was Einstein talked about, when he was thinking about the idea of relativity, kind of like had, I think that's Mozart playing in the background, so he can kind of occupy one side of his brain, so he can use the other side of his brain to kind of deep thinking. And for some reason, violin, for me personally, it is a sound that helps me to occupy one side of my brain while I think deeply. Because my brain would chase rabbits all day. By the way, that's just kind of the kind of brain I have. So, so I learned how to think deeper by having something else in the background to where I don't chase another thought. I can stay on one thought while I listen to the music or feel the music, and then I think and I go abstract after abstract. I roll back, I peel back, I go layer after layer. And I think I was listening to a book and it was talking about how Einstein kind of play with the same thing with Mozart music, just kind of have it, and then he gets to play with whatever ideas in his imagination. I'm like, oh, now I get it. So when I start learning about how my brain works, as far as thinking and using other things to kind of offset, I become a better thinker. So I'm curious about you. When you do violin, what does violin do for you?
I haven't played the violin in almost 20 years.
Mm.
So now obviously I play piano more, but what it does for me is it does use that side of my brain. So obviously I think what the left side is the more creative side, if I'm correct, and the right side is more of like the
I
whatever.
think
Either
left is
way.
logic, right is creative. I think.
Okay, so then I am in my logical brain 99.9% of the time. I am obviously building a business. I am in my masculine energy per se. I'm doing sales. I'm going to the gym. I'm meal prepping. I'm like, what do I need to do next? So what music does for me is it allows me to get out of that like doer mindset and get into more of the being mindset of being present and being like fully engulfed in music and learning a task that uses the other side of my brain and really just brings a level of balance and peace to my lifestyle. And it just gives me a moment to really just, it's like everything else falls away. And I'll practice, like back when I practiced violin, it's the same for piano. I'll just be playing and enjoying it. And I'm like, whoa, an hour and a half has gone by. Like, that's crazy. And I love, and I told you this when I was practicing my speech, like I rehearse over and over and over and over. Like that's how I get things, is just do them over and over and over until I master them. So when it comes to music, it's a good challenge for me because I'll practice a section over and over and over and I'll do drills to get that section. And then when I play it through and I'm able to like nail that part of the piece, it's so it's like it's very, what is the word? It's lost me, but it's satisfying. It's very satisfying to know, wow, like I just started playing piano a year and a half ago and I can play this like pretty difficult piece and I can play with both my hands together when I used to just only be able to play with one hand. So the progression of it is motivating, and what it does for me is just seize the progress, because I believe that if we're not progressing in life in any way, like we are stagnant, we're not happy. Happiness, I believe, is truly defined by when you're making progress in your life in any area, and piano and violin back in the day when I did play was two of those areas that I could really see progress. So it was fulfilling for me.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking about music because my island, we do a lot of music, lots of music. Like I feel like there was so much there was so much struggle in my island origin that we found a way to take music and make music of everything. And I think the folks that have a lot of creativity have often comes from a place where the trauma was real, the stress was real, the struggle was real, and from that you create something. And I felt like I had like artistic skill as a kid. Like when it comes to like poetry and stuff, I feel like I could do it, but I just never focused on it too much. Even though when I started writing later on in my years, I'm like, man, I can put together like words, could put together words pretty good. But I wasn't confident in writing. That's I wasn't confident in writing. I was confident in thinking or storytelling, but writing was very difficult because I didn't spend a lot of time mastering the English language in school or mastering the grammar or the rules of the English language. So I just like, But storytelling was very good for me. So when you talk about your speeches now, I love that you brought speech in because I'm curious about like how it's been progressing so far. As you've been working on are you telling your story?
Yeah, the speech is going good. I've read through it a couple of times. I'm trying to make it feel more like me and not, I guess, in music, staccato means
Mm.
like just punchy, and like I want to make it flow more and I want to make it feel more like me. So as I'm reading it over, I'm kind of sitting with it and just trying to see, okay, how can I say this that's more feels like me? And I've been sitting with that the last couple of days versus rehearsing what's actually on the paper, because there are pieces of it that are like, okay, this is so good. But then there are some where I feel like the language and how it's written isn't me. And
Mm.
it's more rehearsed version, and it goes against my personal branding of being authentic, of just saying it how it is, right? So it's trying to find, without needing it to be super perfect, because obviously it's my first big keynote, but wanting it to come across as like people that know me, especially at work, that's me when I
Mm-hmm.
speak it. It's not a rehearsed version of me. So I'm kind of battling with that. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
battling isn't the right word. I'm yeah, so
Wrestling.
I'm wrestling with it. Yeah, wrestling with it. So yeah, that's where I'm at with the speech, and I'm glad that I decided to give it another week before I actually rehearse it with Toastmasters group, and rehearse it maybe next week with you and with Elena, because I have a call
Mm-hmm.
with her as well. Just give it the weekend, because as I gave myself a lot of rest this week, obviously, as you can tell, this week compared to last week, my energy is very different. And all of the ideas and the inspirations and the excitement about the vision and everything is starting to come to life. So when I give myself that space is really when I'm able to have this happen. So I'm hopeful and believe that if I continue to give myself the space, that the real raw version of that story will come out, and that's what I plan on practicing. But this is a great framework for it to start.
Let me ask you this question then. What is the why of your speech? Like the why, that emotional part of the speech. What is that for you?
To inspire others that this can be hard, like many things, but if you continue going forward, like, you will not only get everything that you're asking for and more, but you'll become a completely different person that is capable of holding and accomplishing and giving back so much more than you ever thought possible. It's to give that one person hope, because that's what I needed going into this industry, and knew I needed to see other people's success stories and where they started and how they got from where they were to where they are, to to borrow belief, like I talked about in the story, borrow belief from others when you're not really sure. It's not that I didn't believe in myself and my capabilities. It's, I want to know what's possible. Where can I take this? And if I can share also from a human to human level, from someone who is on paper a top producer and on the top of the leaderboards every week, that I struggle too, and that's normal. That
Mm-hmm.
was the biggest thing for me last year was, oh, you feel like you want to quit every single week too? I thought I was the only one that felt that way. So I'm like, oh, okay, so that's normal. And I think majority of my life, what has made me feel, I guess, validated in every situation is knowing, like, oh, I'm not like an alien. Everyone else feels like this too. I'm like, they're not different. Because growing up, unfortunately, when I had struggled with a lot of like mental health, anxiety and stuff like that, my mom didn't know how to handle that or to support me. And so she, not to her fault, made me feel like something was wrong with me, and I hadn't talked to anyone else that had experienced that. So I thought truly something was wrong with me. But then as I went further down the path and met other people, started seeking help and stuff, I said, oh, I'm not the only one that has this. It's actually pretty normal. Okay, cool. So then it made me feel accepted and capable of still being able to do the things that I wanted to do with still having some of those battles. So that would be my why.
Okay, I'm gonna push that why some more.
Okay.
I like what you mentioned about shared feeling. I think when you start sharing how you feel with other people, and people sharing how they feel, like, oh, we feel the same thing. I thought I was the only one feeling this, or I thought I was the only one thinking this. But I'm curious now, why is this speech so important to you? Like, why is it really important to you? So important to you for you to give this one authentically.
It's important to me for a lot of reasons. The main ones are I've always visualized myself being on stage and empowering others. I love to connect with people on stories, struggles and wins.
Mm-hmm.
It's being vulnerable and sharing your story, I believe opens you up for deeper intimacy. Two, I said last year at conference I was going to be on the stage this year. And the fact that I'm actually going to be on stage this year is like full proof of anything that I say out loud that I have with conviction and put intention and steps towards, I can accomplish. So it's proof that I can do it literally anything that I put my mind to if I'm serious and put the right intention and conviction behind my words and my actions. And again, it's to develop and build others because we all have moments, even as super, super successful people, where we seek out videos of or YouTube videos or leaders or podcasts or mentors to get that encouragement and borrow that belief so that we can step into our full potential. And it doesn't, it, there's nothing else that brings me more joy than to be witnessing people struggling, pushing through it, and seeing where they came out on the other side. And knowing that not only did I have a direct influence, but that my story or what I was able, like a conversation I was able to have with them, helped them get to where they are. And knowing that I can be the light and be um, just one small piece of that puzzle in bettering someone else's life, there's nothing else that feels greater than that. And that's why I loved coaching so much because I saw women that I worked with where they were at, the struggles and challenges they had, and the calls and conversations we had. And there was just maybe one sentence or one thing that was said that completely, like, it was a pattern interrupt or something just clicked and everything changed afterwards and their life has never been the same because I've had those moments with my mentors or a video or a coach or a podcast episode that I've listened to that one sentence that was said completely changed the trajectory of where my life was headed. So if I can be that voice or be that person or that influence or that energy to help someone, nothing else matters.
Mm. I think you're convicted. But if you're that convicted, I would like to know what's your definition of conviction? Let me hear that first.
My definition of conviction is full body, every single cell, bone in my body feels that this is a yes,
Mm-hmm.
1000%. And that when I say it out loud, people feel it. It's not just there's no hesitation, there's no doubt, there's no fear. There is, is, this is, the sky is blue. There's no hesitation or doubt, the sun will rise. Like that's conviction. I think that your voice and your tone and the energy behind it, people feel that.
So, what is it about your speech that is there's a gap in the conviction for you? Have you felt it? Do you know where it's at yet? What part of it?
The story itself doesn't lack the conviction. I think the performative,
Mm.
needing it to be tightened up and not say filler words and not repeat, feels challenging for me because I obviously want to become a better speaker. And I know that as I am as a person,
Mm-hmm.
my speech isn't perfect and my filler words are there. And I think that when I do just speak from the heart, it lands way deeper than if I were to rehearse every single pause and every single say things without LYs or just basically the things that we learn to do to become better speakers. I want that to eventually be who I am naturally, as someone
Mm-hmm.
who can speak with conviction and to be correct in how I speak and relay my message because I do think that it is important to have a beginning, middle, and end in sequencing and how it's how it is communicated is very important for the audience to receive. However, I also think that I don't, again, want to come off as staged. I want to come off as this is coming from the heart. And that's what my co-founder said. He's like, yeah, prepare and practice, but when you get on that stage, I want you to throw it away and I want you to speak from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And that is exciting, but also terrifying for me because I am a very like, okay, I want to do this. Like we have a speech. I want to practice it. I want to nail it. So I guess I'm trying to find what is the sequence of the speech that I can keep intact to make sure that the message lands the way that I want it to land. And where in the middle can I get more into my raw, authentic self in
Mm-hmm.
conveying the message with conviction, where it doesn't feel like I'm like, and then I fell into my seat and this happened and this happened and this happened, because it's not how I speak. It's not how I
Mm-hmm.
speak. So that's what I was telling you. That's what I'm sitting with and like, okay, what is, ready for it? What's the middle?
Mm-hmm. So we're getting somewhere. Let me tell you what I'm getting right now. And I tell you, the mountain, the peak, we go to peak and the valley, right? The peak needs to be clear, but we also know in life the valley is not clear, but the peak is. Like I see the peak, but the valley, you gotta take me through it. I gotta be in there with you. So the valley is where the authentic shows up, right? Where you like, I'm in it. Like you get in there and you just, your fist is closed and you're like, oh, this moment right here, I wanted to punch somebody in the face. Like I'm telling you, right, this is how I felt, right? But I lined the peak. But here's where I showed up. But I'm back in there again. I'm in the ring. I'm fighting, right? So you just gotta figure out where in the valley that you're gonna put that energy into, and you can veer off whatever. But that's where you show up. But then you gotta land the peak. You gotta land the peak, and like, oh, this is where I'm at now. And people are like, oh, now I feel it, cause they gotta breathe. Cause if you keep them in the emotion long enough, you're gonna give them too much to carry, and they're gonna like, ah, that's too much. But you get them at the peak. I'm up for air too, but I'm taking you back in there, right? So that's some of the piece I thought about, because even when I'm thinking about storytelling, like for example, I was thinking about like going through the process of thinking about when I was hanging out with my great grandmother, and it gets me emotional when I think about it, because I remember sitting with this old lady, and she was educating me on history, on spirituality, on the family, on what I could be as a young man. Like honestly, listen to my parents and talk. She was there with me the whole time, just talking to me and just telling me stuff. And then in the same time, there's a lot of kids around our house, and she was the kindest person I know, because she gives away everything. And I remember when I traced back, I realized where I met my purpose through her, but didn't know it, because she's a kind person. She shares and she gives away a lot. That's how I've been most of my life. I give everything away. And I was trying to figure out where did I came from, and I realized it was from her. So sometimes God allow you to meet the people that's a representation of your purpose in your past. You just don't know they was the person until later on in the future you start tracing this, like, oh, why I feel like this about this stuff, because of this person. And God made sure I met them before they leave. And now I understand what that looks like. So now in your speech, you gotta share people with, you connect with this thing in the story, and this is how it make me feel. And I'm there with you. Like I can feel it, but it slow down or it speed up, whatever you want to call it. But I'm in it with you. So I'm convicted about my purpose, because I know what, it tied to somebody that I really care about in my past. So I don't care what nobody says. I know where I'm going, because I know what the feeling feel like. Like when I serve people, it felt like I'm serving my great grandmother. So when I meet people, I'm serving them. It doesn't feel like that, and that's not the person for me, because I know my purpose is tied to what it feel like. So now your story, what you're giving, what it feels like when you're putting it out there. Oh, it felt like this. I don't need memory for that, because I feel it. I just gotta express it and explain it. What are your thoughts?
Yes, I love that. I truly believe following your feelings a lot of the time is your body's going to tell you before your mind can.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime that I didn't listen to those feelings is where it got me into trouble. I agree with you. I think that that's a great way to look at it. You know, who am I doing this for? What is my why? And if I'm not feeling that as I'm speaking, then it's not it's not coming from that true why. It's not coming from that place. And I think as I was reading over the speech, it it did feel like, and I could be wrong obviously because I've only read through it a few times, but it did feel like I was kind of in the emotion heavily versus, and like focusing on me versus what am I trying to convey to people? Who is this for, essentially? And if I can switch my intention before I read the speech on, this isn't about going deep into like how I was feeling, although like that is part of it. It is about how can I portray this to the person that needs to hear it. And I think that swap of the intention before you read it will have a different tone. It'll have a different level of conviction.
You know you're there. So the conviction for the audience is stepping into that conviction for them. No, it's a different delivery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
All right.
is. It is.
What else you want to talk about? Any questions?
I want to know what your vision is. Let's hear it.
Okay.
What's
My
Asher's
vision.
5 to 10 year vision?
Okay. I haven't shared much this with people. So let me give the vision. I'm gonna
Let's
walk
hear
it
it.
back from the grand to the slow walk. My vision before I leave planet Earth. I wanna have like I wanna be part of this. I call it a 9 square mile place in Africa where I get to build these nice villages. I imagine seeing a nice village style where I have built a bunch of, well, how I see it first, I see a Colosseum design, right? It's a Colosseum design where, if you know, it's Colosseum design, but inside of that is like the whole farmer's market, the apartment complex, the people come in the community and they're like school, everything's like designed in like a Colosseum design. And you have multiple of those in like this 9 square mile village. And then people get to organize around it and just grow in that same space. I imagine that be my grand thing. So if I could own or be part of an organization that controls like that size and that kind of community build up, I'm going for that. That's my grand vision. No, my first proving myself that I can do that is for me to build a $50 million company that's focused around storytelling, publishing, merchandising, like the same kind of like the Shopify Me style design. I want to prove I can build something like that. Then from that, I move towards the other grand vision and see who I can leverage and partner up with and go pull that off. Right. That's something I'm going after. That's my grand vision. Now I'm doing that through storytelling at first because I just love the storytelling piece and organize with people and go after that. But first, I gotta be great at storytelling because I know storytelling sells anything. So that is the grand vision.
So good. You know, it's really interesting. I don't know if I had this conversation with you. I have always had this vision where I live, do more like community style living. So
Mm-hmm.
friends and family and kids, we all live in the same like neighborhood. We have like, community family dinners where we all meet at like this central area and everyone brings something, kind of like a potluck. We do that once a week. You go over to this person's house, they come over to your house. Like it's very much tribal living. Like you're using each other's resources. You're all together as like a family in a small space. And then also bigger vision on that too is to have like a wellness center where I can have like basically a place where people can come and they can get holistic health care, they can get chiropractic care, they can get workshops and yoga and speaking and empowerment, and also like have that accessible to young kids, especially young kids that maybe if their parents are working a lot, they have a place where they can go and they can have like a mentor and someone that can help them through series of their like stages of their life, to help empower them to be entrepreneurs. But it's really interesting that you said the communal living space because I've had that exact same vision. And my friend Sean also has had that vision, who I shared his info with you. He wants to buy a plot of land and build tiny homes on it and also have like communal living. And I was like, God, that's so interesting because I'm meeting more people that want to do that. And I just have like this really vivid picture where I've drew this out of this house that I own, or whether I own or it's like a place, but I'm pretty sure it's a place that I own. And like I have like a backyard area where like people can come outside and we do like bonfires together. And like maybe someone's hosting like a small like event inside in this room, and then like someone's over here doing their own thing with their people, and then like together we all meet for dinner, and then everyone like goes back home, but they're like just walking down the street going to their homes. So super interesting that you shared that. Thank you, because that's not a random synchronicity, I don't think. Just leave that there.
So, another piece of it, I imagine me like a podcast, right? And because I love fruits. I always got fruits around. This is me. I eat a lot of fruits. But I imagine when I do set up like a in-person podcast, I vision it where I would have like all of the nice exotic fruits sitting in the midst, right? So then we can sit there at the table and we have a podcast, we talk, but then fruits are there, like a lot of fruits. You can try them out, you can eat them, or you can just keep them. So I can encourage people to eat a lot of fruits. I just feel like that's where like no sweets, fruits, right? No candies, fruits. But because I grew up on fruits, I love fruits. My island is full of fruits, right? So I imagine that being a space where I sit down every day, like my backyard. I go outside and I have this nice gazebo style, whatever, set up, and I have fruits around, a lot of fruit trees around, if possible, right? But fruits on the table all the time
Love
as a
that.
podcast. Yeah.
Love that. Do you envision yourself podcasting live on stage anywhere?
Yes. So here's my vision of how I see myself speaking. Some people get on stage and want to talk and they stand up and they speak. Um, I feel culturally I like to sit down and talk, not standing over people and talk. So I'm sitting in across some of you or sitting across somebody and we talk. That's how I see conversation having me on stage, not me standing and giving like a keynote and like slideshow. That's not me. It's me having a conversation across from people. That's how I see myself public speaking in the future. Because I feel like sometimes we sit down and people at the village or on the town, whatever, at the community, it's everybody sit down, right? Because sit down makes that we are even sitting down, right? When you stand up, people feel like they're
Mm.
overpowering you. And I don't like that look when somebody's standing over me. Nah, bro. Because I am like,
Nah, bro.
nah, Brody. No, what I'm saying, because there's a part of me that gets very, I won't say defensive, but the word defensive might make it make sense. But I don't like people trying to push people around me. I don't for some reason I feel like I gotta stand up. But when you're sitting down with people, there's always a feeling of, oh, I don't think I'm better than you, don't think I'm better than me, because we're sitting down having a conversation. I like that feeling. Um, and I feel like when I sit down, when I create a space, I want people to be sitting down and taking stuff in versus feel like I'm over you. So I see my future doing my public speaking, organizing around having a seat and talk and reason. Let's sit down and reason, man. Yeah.
I love that. It's interesting as you were saying that. I going back to the feeling in your body. I've wanted to public speak and I've visualized being on stage, but as I think about that, there's like this fear and anxiety that comes over my body because public speaking, when
Mm-hmm.
you're preparing and needing to deliver it a certain way, it can bring a lot of that. Doesn't mean I'm going to not do it. But then as I tapped into the feeling in my body when you were just describing sitting down and having a conversation and having that be your public speaking, that was like a full lit up yes for me. Like, talk about
Mm-hmm.
conviction. Because as we talked, I like the raw, authentic, just natural conversations and where they lead. And I visualize being on stage, seated, two chairs with the microphone and an audience, having
Mm-hmm.
those sit down conversations, because I do feel like those are, yeah, you can maybe prepare a little bit for the content, but when you speak from the heart and you're not trying to edit yourself, it just comes across so much more genuine. And it's not that like a public speaking speech or motivational talk can't move you, because obviously there are thousands that do move you, and they do what they do for a reason. But when I think about me, I do think about doing both, but I feel like 90% of my time public speaking, I would love to have a sit down across from another person having a raw conversation. Like, that is what aligns for me.
Same here, my friend. Every now and then I get up and move around, but we here right here, level, eye level, talking. I saw this one image. It's popped in my head just now of a like an old tribal spot in Africa somewhere. I don't know if true it is, but they say when the village they have difficulty to discuss, you go into the space and it's you can only get into it by sitting down. So when everybody go in, everybody's seated because it's like very short. So you gotta go in there and sit down. And it was like, and the point was that at this level, we all are eye to eye. Nobody's above each other person. So hey, I might be in charge of the group, but I'm not standing over you. I'm sitting next to you. So we're in this together. And it's when I imagine, I'm like, yeah, that's how life is. Like when we sit down and eat, nobody stand up and eat. I mean, we stand up and eat, but oftentimes having dinner is sitting down across from each other. That levels and calms everything down. So then we can speak without being defensive and all of that stuff because now it's like because you're vulnerable sitting down. Because if you stand up, I can attack you. Sitting down is not the same. And because if I can't attack you sitting down, then oftentimes my words won't attack you either. But if I'm standing up, my words might attack you because I feel like I'm big and strong. No, we're normalized. We're just human, and we sit down and we have a conversation. All right, lady, those are my thoughts.
So good.
All right, what is your biggest takeaway from this conversation?
Going back to the sensations of your body and focusing on your intention of who you're speaking to and how that changes the way that you say it and with more conviction.
I thought about back in the beginning, we talked about your parents. Your mom had you at 15, 16. I thought about my mom. I thought about my mother had her at 16 too, it's like same age. And when you talk about you want to break the cycle, it's like, yeah, let me go try this out differently. And then now you're in your different stage of your life, but seeing how they started early and they experienced certain things at that age, what would be a different experience at a different age? So that pops in my head too. And I was like, what was it like for my mom at the age of 16 with a kid? What was she thinking? She's young. I know when I was 16, that kind of responsibility was kind of crazy. You know, just to go back with the empathy editor right now and just go back and think about, like, what were they thinking? Did they had dreams that was disrupted by that? And, like, what was these other dreams they had? And how do you feel about that today, right? So, made me think about those things.
Yeah. I think that as a young mother, you are forced to sacrifice your dreams and what you want for a period of time, and a lot of mothers don't ever end up doing what their true calling is or don't even know what that is. And I think that it has been a blessing for me, and I've had thoughts back and forth about, not having kids earlier or not having kids now. And it's like, if I did, I wouldn't potentially be able to be in the position that I'm in now where I'm able to give back to so many more people. So this is obviously meant to be my path. And right before, I won't go too deep into it now because I know we're running on time, but before we hopped on the call, I had a random thought that just popped in my head where I've always wanted like to have someone like save me and like be the provider and like do the traditional so that I could like not work and I could do all like the feminine things traditionally of like having a family. And then I'm like, I don't want anybody to save me. I'm saving my damn self. Like, I'm going to create the future for myself that I have always wanted without needing to have someone create that for me. And if I were to have someone, quote unquote, save me and I would have went down that path, like, who knows if I would still even be in the position that I am now doing and making the plans to do the things that I have planned. So it's just interesting to think about.
All right, with that, folks, make it utterly fantastic. By the way, so for the folks that are listening, Tiana got her podcast called Authentic, and I'm just here for the ride. By the way, I'm just here for the ride. So if you want to have this conversation, and the folks that are listening, like, yeah, I like the conversation between Asher and Tiana, then sure, we'll have more of it. But I'm on board with Raw Authentic, by the way. Just want to put that up. All righty. Make it an utterly fantastic day.